Soggy Nachos podcast. My name is John L. Got my man Charlie. We got my man Frank Nitty with me, and we're here to discuss an interesting topic. I don't know. This topic means a lot to all of us, though, because it has to. You know, regardless of how much we want to hate it, XYZ, whatever. The Rooney Rule. Let's get right into it because this is something that has been talked about. Like I remember, don't quote. I don't know when it came out or when it happened, but I remember hearing about it in high school. And I'll just jump right into my take because from high school until now, I have the same take. I never liked it.
That's that shit I don't like.
I never liked the concept of the Rooney Rule, which is, I guess, you have to interview African American or minority coach, or I don't know the exact verbiage, but you have to interview them in the head coaching process in the NFL. I never liked it. I don't know why Charlie doesn't like when I bring up problems without solutions, which I understand, but I just don't like it. It just never felt good to me. It never made me feel like that was an advantage to make somebody sit in the room with you. I feel like the best way to do it is by merit because there are good black coaches, several thousands of them. Thousands may be exaggerating, but there are a lot of good black coaches. Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the league. It's by merit. And so that being said, though, this Super Rooney Rule thing, I don't know. Charlie told me it's something about if you get the coordinator. We can get, you can look into it. Maybe I'll bring up a graphic or something to have it. But the point is there's compensation for hiring minority coaches at like coordinator positions or something like that. I think that's a better option because at that point you give them a chance to show what they can do, and then you're silly for not hiring them as a head coach. Just like D'Amico Ryans. He was the defensive coordinator for the Niners. They had a good defense. He was sought after. Now he's the head coach in the Texans. So that being said, like just the bottom line for me, you know, I could be being short-sighted or small-minded here, but the reality, I don't like the concept of the original Rooney Rule of you have to sit down with these people. And now that they have to do two or something, that's even worse. Like, you know, this all came up in our group chat when I saw Leslie Frazier got an interview. Like, Leslie, like, it's just like, come on, bro.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Like, and then there's this thing where the Falcons have satisfied. Charlie sent us a tweet where they satisfied their Rooney Rule. Like, it just feels nasty to me. But once again, I do like the draft capital compensation for putting them in the coordinator position so they can show what they can do. I mean, that's the best. The bias and prejudice is going to be there. It is what it is. I don't like the concept of making you sit down with them. And now that it's two, it's even worse.
I feel you. I understand. I get where you're coming from. It's not perfect. The Rooney Rule is far from perfect, but I believe it's a necessary evil.
Necessary evil.
I believe just from simple inertia, like an object in motion stays in motion, an object at rest stays at rest. If people aren't forced to go outside their comfort zone in their box, they're going to do what they typically do. In my opinion, it's not perfect. I don't think just because a black candidate comes in, that they're going to get hired because they have to. I just think that it puts more eyes on them. Like that people wonder, like, hey, he's been in for a few different head coaching jobs. Maybe I should bring him in too. And yes, I have to because it satisfies the Rooney Rule, but it just forces people, like owners, to do something that they wouldn't necessarily do on their own. Is that great? No, I don't think it's not clean, but I think that it does help more than it hurts. I think just putting people in position to just be seen and be heard, and for owners and general managers and decision makers to see people that they typically wouldn't give the opportunity to, or just like look at. Like, I mean, it's not saying they're going to get the head coach, but like they're like, oh man, and maybe the next head coaching hire, like, I was about to hire him if Jim Harbaugh wasn't available. You might want to bring him in. Like those type of things, those back office conversations, those things still happen. So I think it's a necessary evil. The Rooney Rule Part 2 or 2.0 or whatever you want to call it, where you get draft compensation for promoting African American or minority coaches to prominent positions that usually lead to head coaching jobs, like promote them to quarterbacks coach or offensive coordinator, or you're one of those people leave and go to another team, you get a couple of third round picks. Same with the front office people, with general managers and stuff. Like, those help a lot. They work in conjunction. Like, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I like the compensation thing, but it's all working towards the same goal of giving opportunities to minorities, when typically you would usually, like, there's a lot of nepotism in the league. Like, there just is. Like, what's his name? They just hired Little Callahan, over in Tennessee. Like, this is a nepotistic league, just like business, just like the world. So when it forces people to get outside of their comfort zone, I'm fine with that. I think it's necessary. I don't think it's great, but it's what we got.
Yeah, so it's really weird because, especially with sports being competitive and the way they are, it's not like a typical job search, because you know how like we have diversity hiring things like practices. I forget the name of the actual like rule that they play. Huh?
Affirmative action.
Yeah, affirmative action, and just like some of the things that they've done, like even since then, or even since 2020. But it doesn't really work the same way with the NFL. But I find myself falling on both sides because, like Jonell, I hate it. I 1000% hate it because it's a joke. It's a mockery. The fact that Leslie Frazier got multiple interviews in 2024, like this 2024 site, is ridiculous. Because no one here ever almost believed that anyone was going to ever hire Leslie Frazier as their head coach. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's why I don't like it, because that part feels like a joke. Like, what are we doing here? But when you think about it, I understand, like, you have to get people out there in front of them. And I think maybe to that degree, it served its purpose, but you can get rid of it now. People are going to do what they do, you know what I'm saying, and hope that, like, things work out, because that's just not it. It just feels like, even when you look at the coaching circuits and how they happen, like, there feels like a lot of times we know for the most part who's going to get hired. So if we know and we're not there, what is the point of the interviews? Yeah. Like, I have never been in any single general manager office in the NFL. What is the point of the
Flores?
You know, I've been on, several interviews over the years. And look, I mean, we didn't have to file a lawsuit for the world to know that there's an issue from a hiring and firing practices in the National Football League.
Why?
That whole thing.
Like, so what are we talking about? You know, so it's like, it's really weird. I think they're like, yes, the 2.0 version feels better because at least if they get promoted into like these prominent positions, you can get to see them work, and it's like at least give them an audition or some kind of version of you know what I'm saying, where because that's where a lot of guys get hired from, is the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator positions, right? Should just be offensive, but anyway, that's a story for another day. But but there just needs to be more of that. But the Rooney Rule itself is dumb. I don't really like it here at all, and like it is a sham of a process. So, you know, I mean,
and Frank, you brought up an interesting point. Maybe at one point, because y'all both make sense, right? So maybe at one point it was cool, it started, but like we can get rid of it now. I just don't like, especially like Charlie. Can you just do this for me? Can we address the two thing? Like, how do you feel about two now? Like, you have to interview two of them.
So what Jonell's talking about is that now you have to have two in-person visits with African-American candidates. Seems a little excessive, even if you ask me. I mean, and then they
got this poor old man Leslie Frazier flying across the country multiple times.
And like and they pushed the process back, so like you couldn't even do any of that stuff until very recently. They want the process to be slower because every year a third of the league gets fired. That's what it is. Like, or a quarter of the league gets fired. And they want better coaching. Like, that doesn't happen in the NBA. That doesn't happen in all the other sports. Like, the NFL is just so cyclical, where 8 coaches are out of jobs every year. So they want to slow the process down. I don't know if the whole two in-person candidate visits, I don't know if that's necessary, but look, again, I don't think
we do have to have balance between feelings and real, because like Frank said, it feels like a mockery or something.
Put your hands up. This is a mockery. Don't you mean a robbery? Don't you mean a robbery? Don't you mean a robbery?
But
at the same time, you do need the eyes. Here we are back at square one. At this point, we'll say this has been Soggy Nachos Podcast. Thanks for listening. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Tell somebody about us.
Peace. I'm pulling for you, Leslie.
Yeah, that's not gonna